All right, welcome to the Buckeye Blitz. I'm Tito, Jeff Thitoff. We are on Fantasy Sports powered by DSP Media. Follow me on the X at FitHappens. A lot to get into today. Also, go to the FantasySports.com website. Check us out there. The Fantasy Sports app's available for both Apple and Android. Download it for free. Round-the-clock program. Lots of great things we have here. Go to the Facebook group, the Fan Stream Sports Facebook group, to interact with hosts and other fans. Everything going on today. So we have basketball today. Is the opening games for both the men and the women. Women are in Las Vegas. They are playing USC. The Buckeyes are 7th in the AP poll. USC is 21st. Both teams, but Ohio State, by the way, has got Final Four aspirations, and they should be a Final Four team this year. At least Elite Eight at the worst. Should be a Final Four team. Kevin McGuff's got them rolling over there. Can't wait to see this team. They play today, Monday, as I'm recording this. We'll give updates after the game. But both these teams, Ohio State and USC, have brought in some exciting additions. Ohio State's added Celeste Taylor, who is a transfer from Duke, the reigning ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And McGuff likes to play this. It's like a Nolan Richardson of Arkansas, kind of a 40 minutes of hell defense where it's a constant pressing, constant pressure, generating easy baskets, which has helped them in the past because if they've ever fallen into a deficit, they can bounce back quickly because they can score a lot of points by forcing the turnovers. I think Celeste Taylor to this mix, J.C. Sheldon for a full year, Cody McMahon coming back. I mean, this team is going to be fun to watch. And I'm telling you, if you don't watch them or don't follow them, you should. Go to a game. Go live in person also out there at the Shot and watch them play. They're a well-coached team. They've got among the top talent in the country. That's why I said I think they very well could be a Final Four team. They're probably going to be number one seed in the NCAA tournament. So Ohio State, lots of great talent coming back. Lots of great talent coming in as well. And USC, by the way, speaking of talent coming in, they've got Juju Watkins, who is a heralded freshman, makes a USC debut today. Again, it's a 2 o'clock Eastern tip. So by the time you get this, it might be, I've already started, it might be done. But it's in Las Vegas and 2 o'clock Eastern time, I should say. She's the National Player of the Year in high school last year. In her senior season at Sierra Canyon, her team went 31-1. She averaged 27.5 points, 13.7 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2.5 steals, 1.7 blocks. It's a 6'2 guard coming in for USC, so a big addition for them. Should be a fun game to watch. USC also, and the even more exciting thing about USC is going to be the Big Ten next year, and so we'll get to see her play Ohio State again next year as well. The men host Oakland at 7 o'clock tonight, Monday night, and it should be an easy win, as head coach Chris Holtmann will probably get as many players into the game as possible. Holtmann last year coming off the tough season, and he admitted, he said it's the toughest season he's ever had coaching-wise amongst all his stops, wherever he's been. It was his toughest season last year. Buckeyes missed the NCAA tournament, had the long losing streak in the middle of the season. Started off well, and then had that heartbreaking loss to North Carolina, and things just seemed to go downhill from there. On the plus side, for the second straight year, Holtmann had a guy, a one and done. Somebody who's, you can say it's a plus or a negative, I guess, how you want to look at it. But for the second straight year, Ohio State had a freshman leave after 1 year because he garnered that much interest in the NBA. We'll see if that happens again. It's the first time that's happened in like 13 years, I think, at Ohio State, maybe 14 years at Ohio State, since Ohio State had consecutive years of one and dones. Bruce Thornton finished strong last season, and he'll lead a group of fraternities that includes, Zed Key, Felix Lakpar, who I can't wait to see how much he's developed in the offseason. He came in incredibly raw last year, the big guy. A lot of alley-oops, was about always good at defense. He was great on those, but I want to see if the game has changed much. Roddy Yale Jr., Jamison Battle, who's a transfer from Minnesota. He's a big addition as well. He's a wing guy. He can play guard multiple positions, but he shoots with efficiency from deep. Solid defender. Also one of the top recruiting classes in the country. 4-star recruits, Tayson Chapman, Devin Royal, Scotty Middleton are all in the mix this year, and 3-star Austin Parks. So there's lots of depth on this team, but it's important for Chris Holtmann to get this team to the NCAA tournament. He can't have back-to-back years of missing the NCAA tournament. That'd be really tough to do. Even though he's got another good recruiting class coming in next year, it's still important for him to get back to that Big Ten tournament, or get back to the NCAA tournament for sure, and not miss a second consecutive year. All right, let's get into football now. And Ohio State defeated Rutgers 35-16. Not the prettiest of wins, Kyle McCord finished 19 out of 26, 189 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, costly interception. Travion Henderson, he took 22 of the 29 teams' rushing attempts for 128 yards and 1 touchdown. Also leading receiver, 5 catches, 80 yards. Guy Scott had a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 for 25 and 2 touchdowns. Not a great game reception yardage-wise for Harrison, but he did score the 2 touchdowns, including the one late. So I didn't think Ohio State would give up 16 points, but I'm not putting that on the defense because if you remember, the first 3 points Rutgers got, that should be on the defense. I say it was a trick play. And they did that kind of a fumble Rooski type thing on 4th and 1. The Buckeyes bid on it. Rutgers gets down, but they down close to the red zone, but it has to be held to a field goal. The second field goal they got was on that punt that I still don't know if it's a fake punt or not, but with Ohio State, it looked like it might have been called by the punter, which would be the second time this year that happened if that was the case. A stupid call. Doesn't make any sense. If this thing has bothered me about fake punts in general, most of the time. If you're going to go for it, just put your best players out there. I'd much rather than have a punter running. I'd much rather have McCord dropping back to pass and looking for Harrison or Igbuka or give it to Henderson. Whatever. I don't want to see that. Day looked pissed off after. I'm not sure he was pissed off about the execution or about the fact it was called. Nonetheless, that also gave Rutgers plus field position, led to a field goal. The third field goal they got was off the McCord interception, right? So anyway, that's 9 points that probably shouldn't happen. And, Rutgers leads at the half in that game. So Ohio State did, though, something they've been doing a lot. And I don't know if you've noticed it or not. It's something I don't think Urban Meyer was great at or the defensive staff was great at before Jim Knowles got there. I've got these stats here for you I wanted to throw out at you. That Ohio State this year so far, so they outscored Rutgers 28-7 in the second half. Down 9-7 at the half, outscored 28-7. This year, Ohio State has outscored their opponents 155-48 in the second half. Now, I know that's not always the toughest competition, but you include Penn State, you include Wisconsin in there, Notre Dame in there as well. Ohio State's outscored their opponents 155-48 this year. That's why when Ohio State fell behind to Rutgers 9-7 at the half, I wasn't concerned. I believe in what Ryan Day and Jim Knowles are doing. Let's go back to last year. Now, last year we know we had the debacle against Michigan, but last year Ohio State outscored their opponents in the second half 276-121. Another huge number there. And that includes they outscored Notre Dame 14-0. They outscored Penn State 31-17 in the second half of that game. They outscored Michigan State. They outscored a lot of in the Michigan game. They were outscored 20-3. That was tough. Georgia 18-13. I gather that, yes. But still, the last 2 seasons now, Ohio State's outscored their opponents 431-169 in the second half. An amazing number. In the last 3 seasons, it's been 671-315. This Ohio State team with Ryan Day does a better job of making adjustments than the Urban Meyer teams did. So kudos to Ryan Day. Kudos to Jim Knowles for the last 2 years. I mean, this year, here's how many points you get up in the second half to each opponent. 0, 0, 0, 14, 7, 7, 6, 7, 7. 14 to Notre Dame. Other than that, nothing above 7 in the second half in these games. So, and some of these games are blowouts. And Ohio State still is able to do that and maintain that intensity, that focus, even though it could be a blowout type game. So the college football rankings will be coming out on Tuesday. And somebody saw Stuart Mandel that this is the first time in the 10-year history of the CFP. Stuart Mandel, by the way, from The Athletic, does great work. This will be the first time in the 10-year history of the CFP that the top 5 are all undefeated this late in the season. To be the top 5 is going to be Ohio State. It's going to be Georgia. It's going to be Michigan. It's going to be Florida State. It's going to be Washington. So they're all undefeated. And it'll be the first time this late in the season that has happened. That's a huge thing. Something else I saw from Stuart Mandel is that Ohio State this year was the first CFP top-ranked team to trail at halftime to an unranked team. They were down 9-7 to Rutgers. First time it happened. Nonetheless. I expect Georgia will probably take over number 1. I think Ohio State will go to 2. Michigan will be 3. I think Florida State will be 4. I think that's how it will all play out. The Michigan investigation, by the way, nothing new to report other than Michigan's president and AD met with Tony Petitti over the weekend. On Friday it was. Petitti's supposed to be there anyway for a Big Ten, I think it was a field hockey There's a field hockey tournament he was attending. It was a semifinal type thing, I believe, not mistaken. He was already in Ann Arbor, just happened to coincide with everything going on. And Michigan's school president asked for Petiti to let the NCAA process play out before he hands down any kind of punishment to Michigan and to Jim Harbaugh. Meanwhile, other Big Ten ADs and coaches are saying, no, hammer them now because what they're doing is not right. And you start looking at things like, what does it cost other teams that, Michigan's, from where the sign stealing started, that's when they started having success under Jim Harbaugh. Before that, it was a dumpster fire for quite a while, quite honestly. They couldn't beat Ohio State. They weren't going to the CFP. And since they started cheating, let's just call it that, all these Big Ten teams have produced evidence that show Connor Stalions, the Michigan embattled former assistant coach now, though, purchasing tickets and transferring tickets to people who were sitting in the seats, video recording on their phone. This is a video, but videotaping because it's not videotape, but recording signs from the sideline. So all the evidence is there for something. And so Petiti, at the very least, should come out and say, we're suspending Jim Harbaugh pending the outcome of the investigation, or we're suspending they need to do something to appease the Big Ten ADs and Big Ten coaches, because they are all up in arms about this, and rightfully so. This affects teams. This affects legacies. It affects coaches' contracts. Think about this. If, say, Ryan Day loses to Michigan again, then all of a sudden people in Columbus will be like, hey, maybe we should make a change of coach. This guy can't beat Michigan. But what if he's not playing Michigan on the even playing field? What if other coaches have lost their jobs because they lost to Michigan in such a bad way? And somebody's like on the cusp, on the precipice of getting let go. And then Michigan does this. What about Heisman trophies that could have been lost by players going against Michigan? It's amazing how far this goes. And thinking of the gambling world. Oh, my God, the gambling world, if people are betting on Michigan games without knowing that Michigan has advanced scouting info that's going to change that, bettors are going to be pissed off too. Vegas is going to be pissed off. All these people. It's so wide-reaching. So Petiti needs to do something. I don't know if he will. I still contend that he's waiting to see what will happen. Like he's hoping Michigan loses the game, because then he can say, okay, they're ineligible for the Big Ten championship, which they wouldn't get to anyway. If Penn State knocks them off this week, they probably won't make the Big Ten championship anyway, and they probably won't make the CFP anyway. But Petiti is going to wait until something like that happens before he makes a decision. Michigan is saying they will threaten legal action and all these things. It's not going to matter. The evidence is there. It is absolutely there that Michigan has cheated. Now, I've said he was a former Michigan assistant. Connor Stalions resigned over the weekend. Say it doesn't be a distraction to the program. He's rooting for Michigan, whatever. I'm curious to see how far this goes up the chain as far as how many people are involved. And also, even just, across, the head coaches in other schools. Did any other school assist Michigan in this malfeasance? If they did, there could be even more punishments handed out. This is awful for college football, awful for the Big Ten. And I don't know what they'll do with Michigan, but it should be a severe, significant penalty. Okay, a couple of the quick notes, too, that are not related to current Buckeyes, but Arkansas's football team, when they lost to Mississippi State a couple weeks ago, they lost 7-3, and their head coach, Sam Pittman, fired the offensive coordinator and put in wide receivers coach Kenny Smooth Jazz Guiton. Kenny Guiton, the former Buckeye quarterback, made him the play caller going forward. Arkansas won 39-36 over Florida. The first time they've won at Florida since 1992. So kudos to Kenny Guiton. Got that offense rolling again. 39-36 overtime win over Florida. So Arkansas not going bowling this year in the bad, but still, it's a good thing for Kenny Guiton. Also, one other note from a former Buckeye in the NFL, C.J. Stroud. He might be the best rookie quarterback in NFL history. I know we're 8 games in, but he might be the best rookie quarterback in NFL history. Playing against Tampa Bay on Sunday, he went 30 for 42 for 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, and rushed for a 2-point conversion as well. On the season, he's thrown for 2,270 yards, 14 touchdown passes, and just 1 interception. And no turnovers other than that. He had a fumble, didn't lose. So the 1 turnover is all he's got in his 8 games this year. So good for C.J. Stroud. All the talk that came in about him and Bryce Young. Bryce Young, by the way, they got 3 picks yesterday. I've said all along, not being biased, I always thought C.J. Stroud would be the better quarterback in the NFL and could very well easily fast track as the best Buckeye quarterback in NFL history. So kudos to C.J. Stroud, set a rookie record for that with the 470 yards passing in a game as they get the win 39-37 over Tampa Bay. All right, that's it for the Buckeye Blitz. We will have, like I said, basketball talk coming up too, because the women and men are both in action on Monday. We'll talk about that later on. More football news. Again, go download the app. It's for Apple and Android, the Fantasy Sports app. We're powered by DSP Media, fantasysports.com. Follow me on the X, that happens. Have a great day. Go Bucks.